I thought they were trying to kill me. I think that the medical system everywhere on this planet go exact same thing. They find the cancer, surgical removal, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and the cancer will come back. Round 2, surgical removal, chemotherapy, radiation, cancer will come back. Round 3 until you can take it. Exact same protocol. I didn't want to be on this protocol. Carnivore diet, it has a curing elements to it. Mm-hmm. That stopped me from being dying. I became personal trainer. The reason is because I wanted to help people. I'm enjoying the gym sessions, lifting weight, eating a bunch of meat.
Is that how you say it, Sami? Sami?
Yes, Sami. I'm Sami.
Okay, there's actually, it's interesting. There's I guess, I don't know if you call it tribe or whatever, people called the Sami people in Finland, which all
so many Samis.
Yeah, they largely just eat reindeer and caribou, and that's what they do.
Really?
They're caribou
all right,
herders,
interesting.
and they're all on a carnivore diet. So you are in Japan, is that correct?
Yes, correct. I live in Japan.
And are you, I guess, I'm guessing maybe you're from Japan, you originally grew up there and everything?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, everything.
Okay.
I was born in Japan, raised in Japan, everything done in Japan.
And your English is far better than my Japanese, for sure. So thankfully, thanks for doing this.
Oh, you tried.
Thanks for doing this.
At least you tried.
Thanks for doing this in English. So it'll make for a much better interview, in my opinion. But
indeed.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell, what's your background.
Sure.
And I understand you had a cancer diagnosis. So let's hear your story.
Right. Let's do it. I am a personal trainer.
Okay.
I'm a little bit small build, but I'm a powerhouse in the gym. I'm very strong, powerful, and healthy. So I can make people happy and fit. But what's unique about me is the fact that I am stage 4 colon cancer patient. Today, I'd like to share my story with people around the world. I'm starting with talking about my diet history. And when I was 6 years old, I became a vegan. The reason was because when I was a kid, I had a lot of skin issues. Mm-hmm. Like eczema or psoriasis and hives, all of that. One day, my mom took me to a dermatologist where we were told that the reason I had skin issues, sorry, I keep telling medical skin issue, was because I was eating animal protein. So I became a vegan. Admittedly, I was really malnourished and I was completely messed up child. It got to the point where I developed eating disorder when I was 15 years old. Very, very severe eating disorder. That consumed next 24 years. I have a quick story. One day, I took money from my mom's purse, and I went to a psychiatrist. And where the psychiatrist actually, despite of the fact that he published many books all about, mental illnesses and stuff, yet he didn't know anything about bulimia or bulimic condition at all. And he knew a little bit about anorexic conditions. So diagnosis I was given was, he told me something like I was the person who can't stop lying, pathologic lying. Is that the thing? I think he mentioned that. So 17 tablets of psychiatric medicine was given. Great. So during that struggle of decades struggle, my gastrointestinal system was bombarded with fibrous food and laxative abuse, which I developed to take as a compensation. And then, but when I was 39 years old, I started to take on ketogenic diet. I ate a lot of fat. The fat I started to eat eased my psychiatric terrible conditions. I was completely recovered. I was able to recover from mental illnesses, eating disorder, depression, all of that. Yes, ketogenic diet eased my mental issue yet. Ketogenic diet didn't solve my gastrointestinal issues like bloatings and constipations and pains and stuff. But luckily, 2018, I started to eat a Carnivore Diet way of eating, which was a true game changer. All gastrointestinal problem disappeared soon. So also I was able to gain healthy weight. So I started to lift weights and got into the fitness. And I thought I was the healthiest person on this planet until 2020, where there was a lot of publication about gut microbiome, and where they told us that you got to eat a lot of fiber to feed the guts. And I was convinced by it. And then I reincorporated fiber's diet into my diet until one day, 2020, April 7th, after eating some lettuce and mushrooms and stuff, I had a pain in my guts. And that's allowed my doctors to discover the fact that I had been incubating advanced stage of cancer, colorectal cancer, and metastasized to livers and lymph nodes and stuff. I had intensive operations following chemotherapy, which was awful, needless to say. But I kept eating the carnivorous food, even during hospitalization, during which I was analyzing my diet history, my medical condition, incorporating the knowledge about human biology and toxicology and all of that. Then I came to the conclusion, the fact that why I didn't die, it was because of the fact that before I was diagnosed as terminal cancer stage 4, I had been on the ketogenic diet 5 years. Out of 2 years, I was strict carnivore. I've been on a strict carnivore diet, which helped my survival. So all those involved in where I am. Oh, one story I forgot to mention about the fact that after discharged from the hospital, I had a correspondence with one of the cancer researchers or cancer biologist, Professor Seyfried. I think that he was once on your show. Mm-hmm. He was kind enough to give me piles and piles and documents I can study about his cancer metabolic theory, and also medical journals and stuff I can learn about. Yes, I followed that. I've done this. I've been there, but I couldn't keep doing his protocol. According to his protocol, you're gonna have to get into that deep level of the ketosis. If you get into that deep level of ketosis, low GKI number, as he says, your gym performance would suffer, and your gym performance gets compromised, which I couldn't like. And also, I lost my weight. I had my hair was falling out, and I was like, I thought, screw it. I just get back to the original carnivore diet, eat a lot of meat, lift a bunch of weight. Still, it's been 1 year, 8 months. I'm still symptom-free, though still they find a new recurrence each year. Recurrence in my liver, recurrence in one of the lungs. Still, I have no symptom whatsoever. Still, I do say I am controlling cancer growth. I'm done.
Okay. Well, there's some things I want to ask you about. So it sounds like, you as a young child, you had some skin issues, and, you were put onto a vegan diet, which led to malnourishment, eating disorders. You persisted with that for a number of years. Mm-hmm. Obviously, during that whole time, perhaps, with all the lots of gastrointestinal problems for many, many, many years. Yes. That might have been where some of the cancer started. We know the cancer can
definitely.
often
I would say definitely.
Yeah, I mean, we know that cancer,
systematic inflammation.
Yeah, the cancers can often slowly develop in the setting of chronic irritation, inflammation, and certainly can occur in the gut. So then you go on to a ketogenic diet, you notice some improvement of the malnourishment you had, but it didn't completely relieve all your gastrointestinal symptoms. And then you went carnivore, noticed significant improvement, maybe complete resolution of
great
symptoms.
improvement.
And then you got
no doubt about that.
You got convinced by someone that you had to add a bunch of fiber back in, right?
Because they say, they are singing a song about, microbiome.
Right. And so,
up to this, right?
And then you
what's wrong with them?
Then you started becoming more symptomatic gastrointestinal wise again by adding the fiber back in.
Bloating.
And then they discovered the advanced cancer, right? Is that how that played out? I think that's what I understood.
Oh, yeah. Actually, before I reincorporate, yes, you're right about that. I got screwed by. Yes, it's true. You're right about that. I was good with carnivore diet, but one day I was convinced by, gut microbiome theory. And then I started to eat the fiber. Then the doctor discovered that, look, you have late stage cancer.
Yeah. So you went through the surgery. They removed it and treated you on chemotherapy to help with the metastatic aspect of it. Did you, at what point did you stop consuming the fiber again? Because it sounds like, there was a point where, you were doing the fiber to help with the microbiome, or at least you thought you needed to. You got the cancer diagnosis. You got started in treatment. Was there a point where you said, okay, I'm going to stop eating the fiber because it's causing me gastrointestinal problems? When was that?
Oh, yes. I have an interesting relationship with, fibrous food or vegetable to be exact. I have been eating the 3 or 4 buckets of vegetables every day before I took on the ketogenic diet. When I was suffering from eating disorder, my diet consisted of whole vegetable.
Lots of
vegetables. That's why, lots of 5 buckets. I'm not joking. It's a true fact. Buckets of fibrous food. So that's why I kind of grew to love the chunky feeling that the vegetable gives you. Yeah. That's why even though fiber is bad for my gut, but I catch myself.
Did you ever
craving?
Were you ever, while you were on, you had this, you said malnourishment, vegan diet, eating disorder. Were you ever eating lots of just kind of junk food? Were you ever eating a lot of sugary stuff, or it was always whole vegetables and things like that?
Yeah, supposed to be healthy vegan diet.
Yeah.
I never have eaten like a junk food, so-called junk food, cookies and crackers and ice cream, all the shit. I didn't.
You never suffered. You never suffered from obesity. You were always very frail. And small.
Interesting. You should say that. I never, despite the fact that I couldn't stop eating whole day, but I never. I took a note. In my highest weight is 42 kilograms.
Your highest weight.
Highest 50, 52. And 114.
114 pounds.
This is the highest.
That's the highest.
Not that obese at all.
Yeah, that's. I can't remember when I was 114 pounds. I think it was 11 years old, maybe, or 10 years old. So I mean, that's
I know.
very small.
Currently, my weight is just 40 kilograms, 88 pounds. This is my healthy weight.
That's your current weight. And you're, I mean, obviously, in Japan, a lot of the people tend to be smaller than what we might be used to in America, where we have a lot of obesity and taller folks and stuff like that.
We can see that.
Yeah, I know you can. It's it's kind of an interesting situation. So, you're eating lots and lots of vegetables, vegan diet, never junk food, still got cancer.
No.
Some people listening to this will say that, well, you went ketogenic for a while and you went carnivore for a while, so that was the cause of the cancer.
Yes,
and it's hard to say. I mean,
that's the thing. Yeah, I know. I was asked, you ate a lot of meat. That's caused cancer. No, quite opposite. Despite the prolonged vegan lifestyle, healthy vegan lifestyle, decades. But the carnivore diet, it has I don't know how to describe it, more curing elements to it. That stopped me from dying rather. despite the vegan diet, that meat-centric diet helped me my survival.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean,
I tried to say that.
You were diagnosed, what, a year ago or a year and a half ago, something like that?
Oh, 8 months ago, I was diagnosed as such.
Of your cancer?
1 year and 8 months.
Okay, so almost 2 years ago, you were diagnosed with this really advanced colon cancer. You went through surgery, you went through chemotherapy. I don't know if you had radiation as well. And then you shifted back to a carnivorous diet. And since that time, and I would, not knowing specifically, how stage 4 is advanced with metastatic disease. Often the life expectancy for that is not particularly good, right?
No, prognosis are very poor.
Yeah, and you've lived beyond the prognosis. I'm assuming at this point.
Right. Still, my medical team thinks that I'm gonna die because each year they find new cancer recurrence.
Yeah.
I'm not cancer-free, actually, clinically speaking. They find the metastasis to my liver almost 1 year ago. And last year, October, they find another nodule or metastasis or recurrence, what they call it, in my round of the lungs, all of which they try to convince me to take another surgery. But I refused. I refused.
They want you to take more chemotherapy. Is that right?
Yeah, of course. Okay. Surgical removal chemotherapy. Shawn, I think that the medical system everywhere on this planet go exact same thing. They find the cancer, surgical removal, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and the cancer will come back. Round 2, surgical removal, chemotherapy, radiation, cancer will come back. Round 3 until you can take it. Exact same protocol. I didn't want to be on this protocol until I died.
When was the last time you did a chemotherapy, radiotherapy treatment? How long has it been? Did you no longer do that?
1 year and 8 months ago, I had two operations and consecutively following and chemotherapy and radiation a bit. That's all about it. I haven't done anything.
Okay, so you about 1 year and 8 months ago, after the initial diagnosis, you had the initial surgery, a few rounds of radiation and chemotherapy, and then you've stopped. You said, I'm not having any more, right?
Yeah, I'm done. I had enough.
Okay, because obviously, and how was that experience, by the way? Was it tough to get through? Did you have a lot of side effects?
Terrible. I can't begin to tell you how terrible it was. That's why I decided I had enough. I'm not going to get any surgery, no chemo, none of those things I would take.
And you were, what was the diet like at the time when you were undergoing chemotherapy and surgery? What were you on carnivore? Or were you still on the ketogenic with the fiber?
Right. During the hospitalization, tremendous pain, excruciating pain. I took the painkiller 7 times a day to get by my pain. And also I developed a complication of, I don't know how to say it in medical term, lack of medical term. My liver had been accumulating the fats and waters and liquid and stuff. I had to install a drainage system to get the pus out kind of stuff. They kept doing that a couple of times. And also after hospitalization, I was on the chemo where I was vomiting, pain, fatigue, no appetite, screwed everything. Yeah. And the thing is that after chemo, what I realized was that my bowel movements got worsened than before. In my opinion, chemo caused almost permanent damage. Still, I'm having a hard time to a little bit, get my bowel movement moving.
Yeah. There's certainly some secondary damage that can occur associated with chemotherapy. And I know Thomas Safety will talk about that. And he's definitely critical of both chemotherapy and radiotherapy for.
I agree.
For this type of stuff.
That kills people rather than cancer kills you.
Certainly that argument can be made that some of the effects can certainly, accelerate, the health in a negative fashion. What, so you got through that, you survived that, you said, I'm going to go stay on carnivore, or switch to carnivore. And you've been doing that now for more than a year on carnivore, 2 years now?
Oh, and since 2018. Yeah. 2018, I've been on Carnivore Diet.
Okay. So you've been on it now for
thank you, Shawn.
You're into your fifth year. And how are you doing today? Like, what is going on today after going through this cancer?
Oh, yeah. Despite the fact that still I'm a cancer patient, clinically speaking, I'm not cancer free yet. My life is full of energy. I go to the gym around 4:00 a.m. every basis. And I'm pretty healthy, and I eat a bunch of meat and eggs and chicken, all of that. At least I eat at least 7 or 8 eggs a day. No problem. And pretty much life is beautiful here.
Well, good for you. That's a good attitude to have. And so what is the current sort of plan for you with regard to the cancer? I mean, you said they found a metastasis in the liver and in the lung.
Yeah. Lungs and stuff.
And so what is the plan with that? I know they mentioned that, chemo, but you're opting for, let's just monitor. So do you have it imaged periodically, or what's
yes,
the way it's done?
They do. Actually, they think that they are going to refer me to palliative care since I refused their treatment protocol. But for me, I just stick to carnivore diet lifestyle. Bunch of but it's a good question, Shawn. Actually, I'm sometimes thinking. I think that about what I'm gonna do with my cancer. Yeah. What I supposed to be doing is that following the protocol which Dr. Safely is advocating, like based on the cancer metabolic theory. I have to reach the deep level of the ketosis, get into the low GKI numbers and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I think I will do that if they find the kind of the progression of my cancer cells. Yeah. I will do that. But currently, I'm an idiot. I'm enjoying the gym sessions, lifting weight, eating a bunch of meat.
Yeah, it's interesting because, obviously with exercise, there is some level of inflammatory response to training. And so some people would say that, like Thomas Seyfried may say that, that may be a net negative for the cancer, but at the same time, you're like, quality of life, I enjoy what I'm doing and how I'm feeling. And, it's kind of an interesting, it'll be an interesting thing to see how things end up playing out for you. I mean, it could be that, it's going to progress and it's going to be bad. And it could be that, hey, it doesn't. And because
cognitive resonance, right?
Right. If you talk to guys like Andrew Scarborough and I'm blanking the other fellow's name that we interviewed with the brain cancer, Pablo Kelly, I think is the last name.
Many people on the show.
And they've had this long-standing glioblastoma or astrocytoma in the brain that is just sitting there and not doing anything. It's just staying basically dormant for the most part. And it's interesting to see if you'll get the
that's
same
encouraged me actually. Yeah. I am living with cancer, cell, which were dormant rather.
Yeah. It may be, if they said, well, we're just going to do palliative care, and you say, well, does palliative care mean I'm going to the gym every day and working out and getting stronger? I mean, it doesn't sound like that's not your typical palliative care. And so the question would be, I mean, it seems like there's, it would be like, well, okay, you're not going to do what we want you to do, but at least, maybe periodically image things and see how things are going, because obviously cancer, when it grows and gets, people feel bad. They feel sick. I mean, they lose weight.
Supposedly.
But you're not seeing that. You're seeing the opposite.
No, not at all.
You're getting stronger and fitter, right?
Right. But I try to explain about cancer metabolic theories and what I'm doing is great. Right. But there is no overlap about information I have that they have. Yeah. They think, oh, it's a wacky Sami. Yeah. She's crazy. Yeah. Don't listen to her. Like that. I see them.
I can understand. How did you? Let me ask you a question. How did you in Japan become exposed to this carnivore stuff? Where did that come from?
We don't have any concept about carnivore diet.
2018, it was still 20. Even in 2018, I mean, I had just been on Rogan's podcast in 2017. So to see somebody in 2018 in Japan that got exposed to this, I'm just wondering how in 2018 you got exposed to
Right. But Shawn, actually, we're not gonna get the information through someone talking about in the normal circumstances. Normally, information you are getting from internet, right?
Right.
And so that's why the one of the thing I always thought about the science, or especially medical science or diet science or something like that. Japan is somewhat left behind the time. Why? Because we don't speak English. Majority of the science or nutrition science or whatever that study goes, they are done in English. That's why, I able to read English, to speak English is a great advantage. So that's why I Googled it or searched everything in English. That's why it's easy for me to get the Carnivore Diet, your shows and stuff. I've been following you since then.
Okay. So
day one, I became carnivorous.
So
I appreciate it.
So yeah, like I said, in 2018, this is before the cancer diet. This is well, how do you? I mean, like I said, even before that, you were on a ketogenic diet. So where did you? I mean, I guess in Japan, there's got to be some level of ketogenic diet going on. There's some people.
No, actually, no, Shawn. Yeah. Nobody knows ketogenic diet
in Japan.
I wouldn't say no. Yeah, very, very few people.
You do. So somebody does.
I do.
So where did you start getting into even the low carb stuff? Because in Japan, everybody thinks, well, everybody's eating a lot of seafood and it's an island and they live long and they're pretty healthy people.
You're right about that. If I only spoke Japanese, I would be dead already. Yeah. Lack of education. Yeah, I Googled it, everything English. If I Google keto, even I don't know how to say it, Japanese ketogenic diet. Right. I don't know yet. Because it's not the thing in Japan. Just Google it in English. That's going to give you enough information.
Yeah. So somewhere, 6-7 years ago, you were obviously dealing with an eating disorder. I mean, that it affected your whole life or something. 10
years ago, I kind of recovered from eating disorder. Got it. Okay. 10 years ago already. No more than 10 years.
Yeah. And so...
it's true, Shawn. At that time, ketogenic diet wasn't the thing. Just got the information about eating a lot of fat, so like psychiatric conditions. That's the message I got. And then looking back in the reflection, that diet I started to eat was exactly ketogenic diet. 80 to 90% of calorie intake comes from fat. That's a protocol I took on.
Irrespective of the fact that you're surviving cancer, we can argue that's certainly argue. You're certainly here, and you seem like you're doing quite well, from what I can tell, with somebody who's had an advanced cancer. But just eating a carnivore diet in Japan, how does that go? I mean, how do you receive? Does people care about that? Does anybody make any sort of "what the heck are you doing" type of thing? How's that going?
Luckily or unluckily, I don't have a lot of Japanese friends, and so. Yeah, it's true.
You're kind of an outlier. Okay. You're kind of an outlier because and I've never been to Japan. My only experience in Asia was basically I've been to Malaysia, so I've been sort of to, but it's still very different. And my understanding is in a lot of Japan, people like the Japanese people like to hang out with the Japanese people, and it's kind of they have their own. So you're very much an outlier. You said you don't have a lot of Japanese friends.
Difficult. I don't have a lot of Japanese, but I have international friends here in Japan, and also digitally we are connecting each other. WhatsApp and all of that these days. You don't need to meet on a very basis. That's why I'm kind of a little different from that normal Japanese people mindset, at least. But when you think about Japanese people in terms of the carnivore diet or meat-centered diet, the vegan diet, I would say Japanese people love eating meat than maybe Americans, I would say. But for some reason, people assume that Japanese people munching on the fruits and vegetables and sweet potatoes and stuff. Hey, look at Okinawa. Oh, one of the shows you had, there was a lady lives in Okinawa, and his husband was kind of station kind of stuff.
She's in the military. Yeah, Jessica Randall.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah, exact same thing. She discovered the fact that Okinawans, they're not gonna eat potatoes all day, which for some reason many people on this planet believe that. Hey, look at Okinawan. They are eating a lot of, purple sweet potato. They are healthy. Let's be sweet potato eaters to live longer or something. It's completely, BS.
Where in Japan are you? Where do you live in Japan?
I live in Yokohama, next to Tokyo. Yeah, southern part of Tokyo.
Tokyo is just huge. I mean, I know it's like just it's actually like literally the biggest city in the world with
definitely highly densely populated.
35 million people in that area.
Amazing. We are living top of each other.
Right. It's everybody's up in these high rises and stuff. So what you're saying is, we hear a lot, and a lot of people don't realize this, that maybe 150 years ago, Japan was a vegetarian society, and there was, I think there was some evidence that the emperor at the time, was worried that he could not fill out the army because everybody was so small. They could not even. It was like men had to be 4'10", and he couldn't even get enough 4'10" size men to fill out the army. So they brought meat eating back into the country, so now Japan is. And Japan has rapidly increased its meat eating over the last, 20, 30 years. We're seeing numbers going up.
Yeah, I think so.
Obviously, seafood is very popular.
Their growth was stunted. Stunted definitely because of lack of animal protein, obviously.
Yeah. So you're saying that the Okinawan diet is not purple sweet potatoes and a vegetarian diet, vegan diet.
They love pork. They love pork a lot.
Yeah, it's an island of pork is what I've been told. So it's interesting to get confident because you hear from what we hear the vegetarian vegan people say. Well, it's the blue zones and the Okinawans. All they eat is sweet potatoes, and that's kind of nonsense, is what you're saying.
Exactly. Even it was a couple of weeks ago. That famous doctor, Jason Fung. Mm-hmm. Everybody loves Jason Fung, this community, right? Low carb community. Yeah. And he said that, look at Okinawan, they eat a sweet potato. Yet, because of that, they don't eat many times a day. That's why they are healthy. But I was thinking, no, Dr. Jason Fung, no, Okinawan eat a lot of pork.
Yeah, that's what I'm told.
I always feel a little bit.
So, among your friends, even despite the fact that you said you don't have a lot of Japanese friends, you've got a lot of an international community. What do they think about you eating less all meat diet and the fact that you're fighting cancer with that? What are your thoughts on that?
I became almost living proof. They were almost convinced by the way I'm eating. Mm-hmm. Some of them are vegetarian, which is okay, totally okay. But they wouldn't tell me, hey, you are doing something wrong. Eat vegetable. Nobody says that because they see me live alive, kicking.
Yeah, you don't look like somebody who needs to be in hospice right now. I'm just looking at you. You look like you're just.
I know.
You look like you're not suffering in pain or anything like that. You've got
not at all. No pain.
Like I said, you've got a CT scan or an MRI that says there's a tumor here and here, but.
Yes.
You're not like, it doesn't look like you're ill at all. You look like you're happy and bright, and you like going to the gym and working out and getting strong.
Right.
So something doesn't add up. So it's interesting. It's very interesting to see this. And so
yeah.
What do you? Do you have any what are your thoughts about what you're going to be doing a year from now, 2 years? Are you still going to be? Some people with a diagnosis, am I even going to be alive in 3 or 5 years? And what do you think? What do you think is going to happen to you? Just what is your gut feeling right now?
All right. What I'm thinking right now is the fact that I became personal trainer. The reason I became personal trainer because I wanted to help people.
Recently. When did you become a personal trainer?
Oh, actually, it was new story. Actually, it would have been. I'm forgetting about when I became personal trainer. The end of the last year. Early December last year.
So recently,
Very recently.
Yeah,
I was born.
It's interesting. It's like This is someone who has had a advanced stage 4 colon cancer, is going carnivore, and now it's like, hey, I'm just going to be a personal trainer and stay. That's like kicking cancer in the face and saying, "F with, stick to
I
you.
know, I know.
I'm gonna help people." Good for you.
That's my catchphrase. Look at me. Even advanced stage cancer patient can live optimally, being healthy. Should I say at least being happy and being strong. That's a message I wanted to get across to the world, especially the people who are depressed because of the cancer patient diagnosis. They are depressed massively. They think that this is the end of the world. No, it's not the end of the world. You can be strong, happy like that.
Good for you. So tell me, so I guess that made you want to help other folks. And so how does that work? I mean, are you training people online at the gym? Locally?
Online.
Yeah.
Online, just online.
Okay.
My business, I set up my website last month. My business hasn't taken off yet, but it's gonna come. And I take care of the 2 clients right now. They are the cancer patients. They are obese, or one of them is having arthritis. I try to work with people who have a comorbidity, and cancers and diabetes and obesity, arthritis, PCOS, all of that, because I know how terrible you lose your health.
And are you seeing you're saying obesity, so I imagine not a lot of your folks are Japanese. Are you seeing a lot of people that are not much from Japan?
No, Japanese, maybe gene is something plays a role, protected, but when you think about diabetic, the number of people who's diabetes, the ratio is rather higher than many people think. Many diabetic patients floating around here. When I was hospitalized, I was kept in the room which had 6 patients. They are cancer patients. 4 patients out of 6, they are diabetic. Yeah. I can see the correlation between diabetes and cancer.
Yeah, now. We know. I mean, diabetes will increase your risk for cancer, and there's probably a lot of,
obvious.
Atomic Safer to others say there's some sort of metabolic component to cancer in many cases. At least that seems to hold up with those relationships, and whether
now you mentioned that, I'd like to share with a quick story. When I was hospitalized, I became friends with all of my cancer patients at the same room. And some people, they have to check the glucose level after eating meal. Because of the fact that we were given the bread and pasta, the rice and cookies and crackers and canned fruit and raw yogurt. That's why the glucose level is always high. It's normal. It's no doubt about the fact their diet causes this high level of the glucose all the time.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, of course, clearly. I mean, clearly, if diet, certainly for type 2 diabetes, diet is probably a absolutely,
100%.
completely significant part of the causality of diabetes.
Right. That's the food that the hospitals give us to cancer patient, diabetic patient, bread, pasta and rice.
So when you were recovering from your surgery, chemotherapy in the hospital, and they brought you here's some bread and pudding to eat.
Oh yes.
I mean, what did you tell them?
Yes.
And what did they think?
That my gastrointestinalist told me that you have to eat a low dairy diet, no fiber whatsoever.
Right. Okay, good. Give me an egg.
Yes, right. It should the carnivore diet good for the people who had a gastrointestinal operations and stuff. But the food I was given are full of fiber, broccoli, lettuce, tomato, bread. Yeah, very, 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 very small amount of protein. I thought they were trying to kill me.
Yeah, it is kind of, because you think, well, it is something that you're marketed. A lot of people, when they have gastrointestinal surgery, they want them on a very low residue diet because they don't want that anastomosis being stressed by, a lot of, fiber, essentially. I mean,
yes.
So it's interesting that they realize that, yes, fiber can be very disruptive and irritative to a healing gut. Yet, when we actually have a diet when we actually have a diagnosis of gut inflammation, irritation, IBS, something like that, a lot of people just say, just start shoving more fiber in there, and it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
If you talk to the if you talk to the surgeons, they're saying, hey, no, we don't want to stress these repairs. We don't want all that pressure and irritation. Yet when we have an irritated, inflamed gut, people are telling us, hey, we should just put more fiber in
They should know.
It's interesting.
There is a detachment between the doctor's knowledge and application of the diet at the hospital meal setting.
Yeah, sometimes these things just don't add up. It's
amazing.
Like they're not talking to each other. Well, I tell you, this is really fascinating. That your story is just fascinating in general. How did you? The other thing I want to ask you. I understand. Carnivore is unique in Japan. Maybe likely will be growing like it is everywhere. But how did you get convinced to do a vegan diet as a kid? Where would that come from? So I don't think veganism is not popular in Japan either, is it? Or is it?
Oh, no. Vegan, luckily, the vegan, the kind of ideology hasn't come yet, but it's coming, actually. If you go to the supermarket, where you find some vegan food, the kind of stuff is coming. But in general, we haven't realized that this is the thing globally, gaining a momentum. It's funny, Shawn. Definitely a carnivorous community is gaining momentum, becoming bigger. And as you can see, but at the same time, for some reason, vegan narrative is very, very strong. It's kind of insidiously crept into the society without we realizing it. So polarization.
Well, we are getting close on our time here, but this has been so great for you to share this story. Let me ask you a question on this. This is a very controversial topic. You went through chemotherapy. You said it was awful. You had surgery. You had radiation as well. Is there anything you would have done differently? Having gone through this, is there anything you would have done differently?
No, I don't think so. The way they gave me the treatment are exact same protocol they have to look after cancer patient. Surgical removal, chemo, radiation, exact same thing. I just maybe the difference between normal cancer patient and myself is two things. I never be depressed. Two, I've been on the ketogenic diet or carnivorous diet almost ketogenic diet, isn't it? You're not gonna ingest the glucose. So I've been on the carnivorous diet / ketogenic diet. This is the two things, maybe different from the other cancer patients in Japan.
Yeah. So you think the diet helped you with your mental health going through this really challenging situation? And
I think so.
Yeah.
I would say yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, obviously, because, you talk about people, like some people would say that, the surgery certainly makes sense to debulk the issue. Some people would say, well, maybe the radiation has more negatives than positive. Maybe the chemo has more negatives than positive. But for you, you'd have still gone through the radiation, still gone through the chemotherapy, still had the surgery. As you've done it, you wouldn't have changed anything, correct?
Oh, I wouldn't say there is no efficacy. There is a certain reason I would say it was meaningful, because especially my gut was completely screwed by advanced cancer. Mechanically, it didn't function already. That's why removal, that makes sense. But after that, I don't think that any benefit of getting surgical removal. Does that make sense? If your organ functions very well, don't fix it. If it's broken, broken, don't fix it. That's the word I'm looking for.
If it's not broke, don't fix it. Yeah, that's a pretty common.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Well, are you on social media sharing your story outside of?
Sure.
Where do people go to find you then? I want to give you an opportunity to share it so people can follow what's going on. Because I'm sure people want to know what's going to happen to you, what happens to you 6 months from now, a year from now, if you could follow further studies, follow-ups, are you going to survive a long time? Because we don't know. And it's something.
Yeah.
What I can say unequivocally is whatever you're doing, you look wonderfully healthy. You seem very
Thank
happy.
you.
And just that
I'm
alone
happy.
is a very positive thing. And hopefully, and my hope is that, this cancer stays, it stays in remission more or less.
Quiet.
It doesn't continue doesn't cause you any health issues, and you live for another 50 years. I mean, that's my hope. But we'll see what happens. So.
I hope that too. So since became a personal trainer, I'm very active on social media. What's that? I've been on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
My fixed name is Sami Tugano. Sami is a Sami. Tugano is a Gano.
And how do I find you on Instagram? Because I'm gonna try to find you there and follow you. So
Instagram, and my handle name is Sami. I make a point to update my contents on an everyday basis.
And so I see you there. I'm gonna follow you. I followed you there.
Okay, Thank you.
I'm following you on
Sounds
Instagram.
good.
I want to see what happened. I want to do this interview again in a year. That's what I really
Yes, please.
So
I'm happy.
Let's make it do this again next June. Next.
Yes.
I guess we're
please update my
I want to
status.
update. I want to hear what happens to you. So anyway, thank you for doing
All
this.
right, sounds
This is
good.
wonderful. I look forward to distributing this, and I'm sure a lot of people will want to see what happens to you too, because you're just a fun, interesting person who's a cancer survivor. So good for you. Awesome.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you
Sam,
for
we gotta
saying
go.
that.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. And the rest of the folks that joined
I
in
will.
today. I know we don't have a
Bye-bye.
lot of folks this afternoon.
Thank you.
It's a weird time, but thanks so much. Okay, bye-bye, everybody. Take care, Sammy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, folks, it's Dr. ShawnBaker here. If you guys are enjoying these success stories, well, you can become your own success story. You can do that by heading over to Carnivore.diet. You can sign up for a free 30-day trial and get started today. We're looking forward to supporting you. Our community is wonderful, and we'd love to see your success.